Welcome, everyone, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. It is almost officially springtime in Sonoma Valley. You wouldn't know it by looking outside because technically springtime starts in a month or a week or so, meteorologically or climatologically or whatever the rules are. But outside is green and the hills are beautiful. And there's a lot of mustard flowers appearing out there in the fields, as well as other wildflowers. And when you come down from Kenwood, you especially see it. You just see fields of flowers and the green hills and then the sheep out in the vines. And you know that springtime is here. When you come down in Kenwood, though, if you're coming from Santa Rosa and you look to your left, one of the first wineries that you hit in Sonoma Valley doesn't really look like a typical winery. You look to your left and you're this amazing, huge, beautiful, Gothic style building. And you're like, what the heck is that? And on the side of the road, there's a sign that says Ledson Winery. And you think, there must be a story there. I want to hear it. Well, today I have a very special guest. And this time I actually mean it. This time I actually mean a very, very special guest. He's going to tell us a little bit more about that winery and all sorts of things because he does a lot of different things. It is Steve Ledson. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. Jim,
good.
How are you?
I'm not...
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Good, doing good.
A little rain today, but the kind of clouds kind of come and go. It's like rain, a little blue sky, a little more rain, refreshing smell. It is. It's an awesome day.
It is great. And I do love, since your winery up there in Kenwood is up against the mountain, it's so beautiful the way the clouds kind of go up there behind it and the mountain appears again. And
exactly.
That's
amazing. I just left there a few minutes ago, and the clouds have kind of cleared away a little bit. And I look back at the building. You can see the clouds kind of forming around what's called Hood Mountain.
Right.
All the rock and stuff and trees. It's just breathtaking.
And so that's the backside of Hood Mountain, and it's like is it an old volcano, right? It's volcanic rock.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's why it's like a very sharp, dramatic mountain back there.
Yeah, in fact, since I can remember, actually, my father, when he was a kid, walked up that mountain a lot, and there's this spot up there called Gun Sight, and it looks like the gun sight on a gun, the way the V is.
Okay.
It's probably, a lot of people that heard this would probably have walked up there, but if you haven't, for somebody that walks, normally it'd probably take you an hour and a half from the bottom.
Okay.
I used to go up there in about an hour and 5 minutes, and I thought I was doing well. My cousin would go up there in 35 minutes.
Oh, really?
So
is he like an Olympic runner or something? Jeez.
Yeah, that's right. He runs 50-mile races.
For real?
Yeah.
I forget that guy. Jeez.
In the mountains.
Wow. But that's right there behind the winery now.
Right behind the winery. You can't miss it. If you're on Highway 12 and you see the winery on your left,
right.
It's 7335 Sonoma Highway. So when you're driving, if you plug it into your car, you'll see it.
There.
Check out the winery. Look above the roof and see the beautiful mountain. That's called Hood Mountain, and Gun Sight is a rock.
Steve, are you from Sonoma? Did you grow up here?
My family's been here since the mid-1800s.
Okay.
I was born here. I was born in Santa Rosa. I lived at a house there for just a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Moved to Kenwood, just right behind the winery on Pythian Road.
Okay.
But I think we moved there in 55.
So you've been, obviously, if you're that many generations deep, you can almost call yourself a Sonoma local. That's
probably, yeah. Yeah, probably.
And living out there, what was Kenwood like when you were growing up there? Was it full of wineries, or was it a different kind of landscape?
It was a beautiful place. All the streams had water in year round. There was fish in every stream.
Oh, wow.
And I listened to the stories like when my dad was a kid. They'd sit on the front punch there, and the road was a gravel road. My dad was born in 1916.
Okay.
And they would play this game, and they would guess, what kind of car is that? Is that a Case? Is that a Ford Model A? What is that?
Those are like exciting times, right? That would be like when the iPhones first came out, right? Like this changed everyone's mind. So your dad got to see that.
But growing up in Kenwood, I grew up on a ranch, and it was an incredible time. I mean, it was the old days where if we were short eggs, I'd get on my bike or the horse and ride down a couple miles to the other ranch house. They're quite a ways away, borrow some eggs. And during the time of harvest and stuff, if we got done first, we go help the neighbor if we needed help. And it was just a time where everybody just worked together.
Right.
Beautiful.
What kind of things were you growing on that ranch? Or was it beef ranch, or was it like just all sorts of stuff?
Well, when my dad was first moved there, early 1900s, we had all Annadel State Park, a lot of that land, and we just ran cattle on it. And we had quarries there where we took the rock off and sent it to San Francisco for the streets.
Oh, interesting.
And we cut the eucalyptus trees and for wood, and all went. The train went through there.
Right.
So we'd put stone for the quarry, from the quarry, to the roads, or wood for fires, because back then everybody had a fireplace.
Right.
And then, of course, run cattle and stuff on the ranch.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned the train. I think the train, Melita Station was stagecoach, and then trains would come up, right? Like narrow gauge railroad came all the way up the valley, I believe.
All the way to Santa Rosa. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting.
Your grandfather could probably catch the train all the way to the big city.
Yeah,
Santa Rosa.
he did. The Golden Gate Bridge wasn't there originally, and when he would drive, he owned San Francisco National Ice Company, so he would drive down on Friday night and spend the night, and then he'd come home Sunday night, and he'd take an old car. He had that big old case, one I remember seeing a picture of. They put it on a ferry and go across to
deliver ice to wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
When I was a kid, we had the land on Pythian Road right behind the winery there, Hood Mountain. But we also had a ranch that's now Sugarloaf Ridge State Park.
Oh.
So we had plenty of ground to
run around and find fun and trouble and all sorts of good stuff up there. And that's a beautiful park.
I've been on that Hood Mountain. I can't count how many times.
Really?
And when I was a kid, I'd go up there right after work and walk to the top and walk back. It was no big deal.
Well, tell me, so it sounds like now you have a winery, right? You have actually 2 different wine labels, maybe 3. How did you start getting into the wine business?
Well, our family on the Cunningham side, my grandmother's side, they started their winery in 1862.
Okay.
And they were in Windsor.
Oh, okay.
And so they kept that until Prohibition. And then we had our own ranches, the vineyards. We had vineyards, walnuts, prunes.
Okay.
And as time went on, we started doing what's called sharecropping. My dad did a lot of that. We'd go to a person's property, and we'd give them a percent of the sale of the fruit. So we'd either plant the vineyard, or maybe we took over when we'd do all the farming, we'd do the sales, find a place, sell the fruit, deliver it to them, we'd get a check, and we'd give them X percent. I mean, maybe it could be 25, it could be 50, depending on what we had to do on the ranch. And we had 1,000 acres probably at that time. A lot of stuff from Russian River, a lot of the old Italian families, Bacigalupi, Baldacci, Tosconis, just a lot of old families. And my dad was friends of all of them. So we'd stop after work a lot and have a glass of wine. Everybody had a jug of wine around.
It was the big jug days, and it was a field blend days, right? This wasn't like Cabernet Sauvignon from this block and this vineyard. It was like the vineyard's out there. Who knows exactly what grapes? It's all a big field blend, and you had a great bottle of wine.
Red wine. Yeah. It's interesting because when I was a kid, we'd plant, we'd say, we need to plant some Cabernet. And so we'd plant Cabernet wherever we had a vacant spot. Nowadays, it's really site specific,
very scientific. Yeah, exactly.
Specific, you don't plant Cab there.
That's interesting.
So, it's been growing up in the valley here has been an amazing experience. And I had a childhood and an experience that people would just dream about. I mean, it's a beautiful place in the world. And just a climate close to everything that you want to drive to.
Right.
And it's a great place to visit. I've traveled the world, and I never find anything like home.
Oh, I love that. Good. Yeah. I think I should put you in an ad. Good job, Steve. Steve, tell me, when did you build that winery or that building, or where it is now your winery? Tell us the story there, because if you're older, we say it's like a Dracula style, beautiful Gothic building. If you're younger, you say it's like a Hogwarts or Harry Potter. But tell me about this building and how it became your winery.
Well, it's an interesting story. I had a fellow that filed bankruptcy and owed me a bunch of money, and one day he told me that he was wasn't going to pay me. And I kind of laughed and chuckled, and I said, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to pay me. He said, well, I don't have the money. I filed bankruptcy. I don't care. You're going to pay me. And lo and behold, he paid me. Nobody else paid me the money off.
Okay.
And then one day I was building some houses in Kenwood off of Hoff Road, and he drives up on the road. And I said, Dave, what are you up to? He says, I want to buy that house from you. I kind of chuckled. I go, what? He goes, yeah. I said, well, where are you going to get the money? He says, well, I'm going to get part of it from my father and mother-in-law, and the rest of it you're going to carry. I said, what?
So that's a bold declaration.
I said, you know what, you've been such a good guy, you paid me, I'll do that. But you know my personality. If you don't pay me, I'm going to take your house.
Right.
And he said, okay. So I did that. He by the way, he paid the whole house off.
Okay.
One day he calls me and says, let's build a spec house. I got a piece of property at 7335 Sonoma Highway. That's where the winery is. I said, you do the building, I'll give you half the money. I said, you design it and build it. So I went over there. I probably was in partnership with him for a month. I do this little sketch. He calls me at the end of the phone. He goes, I want you to buy me out. I go, what? And he says, my wife says, we're done. We're moving to Lake County. So I bought him out. So then I started designing the house for myself. I love architecture. I lay awake dreaming about it at night. I've built 3,700 something homes, office building, wineries, and I just really love architecture.
Okay.
So I started building this house. And one day my superintendent says to me, he says, I'll work for you for nothing. I go, how are you going to feed your family, Bob? He says, well, I just want a piece of the sale of the wine. I said, we're selling grapes. We're not selling wine right now. That's where you're making a mistake. I said, well, what do you mean? He says, Steve, you can't imagine the people that come here every day. When I get here to go to work, they're on the scaffolding. They're trying to take pictures or look in the windows or want to know, when's the winery going to open? He goes, you moving into this house is crazy. Taking care of this, and just people want to see it. It's a beautiful building.
Right.
It took me a while to get that approved.
So you converted it from a house.
From my residence that I had moved into, I actually moved into the guest house. It was just finished in the house.
Okay.
So I had to get approval from the county to turn it into a winery. And then I had to go through a whole set of plans to re-engineer the building with more steel beams, more concrete. It took me a year and a half just to do the retrofit.
And this is when you'd already started the building of it.
Yeah, I had the house, the building was almost done.
Oh my gosh.
So I ended up having to redo it and do all this work. So I opened up, so they gave me a permit to be in business, and I put in a double wide trailer in the parking lot while I was doing this conversion.
Oh, that was your tasting room?
Yeah. And so I still have my very first club member, Dave and Jan Holcomb. They drove up. My son was in the trailer. He was doing the sales and stuff, and I had one of those great big box cell phones back then,
Right.
This is like 97.
Yeah.
And the phone rings to my son. I go, what's up, Mike? He goes, hey, Dad, there's some people, they just bought a bunch of wine, and they want to know if we have a wine club. And I said, well, I guess we do now. And he says, well, what do I do? I said, well, just take a napkin and make it really interesting. Get their phone number, all their contact. There still are wine club members.
That's wonderful.
They have sent me millions of dollars worth of business, telling all their friends.
Just all the
everybody
referrals.
about it.
Are they live in Sonoma County? Are they local?
They
or?
live in Texas.
Texas. Wow.
He's in the oil well business.
Okay. And he decided that was the wine we wanted, and here's the napkin from your son, and member number one. I love that.
Really nice people. The wine business it's very romantic, and it's very family orientated. We have 15,000 club members, and I've made friends all over the entire world. And there's just something about sharing a glass of wine, or especially sharing a meal and wine with friends.
Right.
It seems to build a special relationship. And I get texts and emails every day from club members, and I just simply text them back with a little note.
That's great.
So it's a really fun business. People say to me, how do you do so much work? And I said, well, I don't think I have a job. I don't feel like I'm at work.
That's great.
So yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying it.
So it sounds like you were a builder or contractor before you were a vintner or owning a winery. How did you get into that?
Well, that's another interesting story. I was about 14, going to be 15 years old, and I'd worked for my dad on the ranch for a long time, and my parents didn't pay us to work. That was part
that was
when
not
you
a
grew
thing.
up.
Yeah.
You had to work for it.
You got food and you got shelter.
Yep.
So here's the chores.
And then one day my dad says to me, it's like early spring, February or something. And he goes, hey, son, he goes, I'm going to give you the hay baler and a mower and rake. And he says, you can have your own business. Because I did we baled hay all over the country around here. And I said, what? He says, yeah. He says, I'm getting my real estate license because all this land that we farm, we do sharecropping on, builders are coming in and they're developing it. Mm-hmm. He says, so you're going to have to, do something different. I'm going to get my real estate license. So in the wintertime, when it's slow, I have something to do. Make a long story short, I said, I don't have a driver's license. I can't drive 3 tractors.
Yeah, you were what, 14, 15, you said?
15. He got me a driver's license, was called a farm license, where I could drive from my house to school into the baler.
Okay.
And I'd bale hay every day after school. I had to wait till the temperature got just right because you didn't want the hay too dry. You don't want it too damp either.
Right, right.
2 cousins running a mower and rake, and I had a hay baling business. Baling, I baled a couple thousand bales.
These were other farmers growing the hay. And
Yeah.
they would hire you to kind of
Hired
harvest
me
it.
and my dad was the one that had the business. He had it for years.
Okay.
So I just took it over.
So you weren't starting from scratch trying to like explain, here I am, a 15-year-old kid
Yep.
to bale the hay.
And at the same time, I was running up at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park. We had that land. And in ninth grade, I had 63 cattle of my own. I'd buy them at the auction yard.
Yep.
And then I'd take them up and run them for nothing and fatten them up, get big, and then sell them off.
Okay.
So I started out real young. But then as things, as I grew older or making money, my dad said, I know you love to farm. I know you have such a passion for it. You're up at 4 o'clock every morning. You love being outside and all that. He says, but if that's your passion, you need to move to the valley.
Yeah. The Central Valley of California.
Yeah, I said. He says, you just like to do things in a big way, so you're going to need to move over there. Or if you can't beat them, join them. Maybe you should start learning construction. So I got a job, wiring houses, learned to be an electrician.
Okay.
I never got to be a journeyman because I ended up leaving that trade. And then a fellow that came into a gas station where I used to help the owner do brakes at night and stuff. I can't sleep.
Yeah, Steve, you're like always hustling.
So I ended up meeting a guy that worked for a sheetrock company, and they did Oakmont and all these hospitals and stuff.
Okay.
And so I went to work for them.
Really?
And then they asked me to spray acoustic one day so an older fellow could take a vacation for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
They gave me a list every day to spray, and I sprayed them every day. They couldn't.
Did you know how to do that?
Sprayed every house, and I was younger.
Right.
When that fellow came back to work, his name was Denzel Roper.
Okay.
He walked in the office and they said, Denny, we don't have a job for you anymore.
Oh, no.
And they let him go. And they didn't even talk to me about it. He walks out and he says, thanks a lot. I go, what's the matter? He goes, they fired me. I go, what for? He says, because you're the new spray man. I go, wait a second here. So I went in the office and I said, here's my resignation, I'm done. And they said, what are you talking about? I was going to talk to you this morning. We're going to pay you way more money an hour and you can be our spray man. I said, I'm not doing that. I walked outside and Denny walked out and he said, hey, Steve, I have my own drywall license. Let's go have a cup of coffee. I'll sign to be the responsible manager officer.
Okay.
We'll go buy a spray rig and you'll take over all this company's work. So I went and did that. I walked into Oakmont, knew the superintendent there. He gave me a bunch of plans. I started doing drywall, did Oakmonts. I started doing all these big jobs. I had 150 people working within 2.5 years.
Oh, my goodness. And you were just doing the drywall and all the new construction in the valley.
I did that for years. And then another friend of mine that I was doing work for asked me if you want to put up some money to build some houses with me. And I did. And then I started building houses. So now I've built 3,700 something homes.
And are they all around Sonoma Valley and Sonoma County?
All the way to the Oregon border.
Oh, you are? Okay. Because I know you've got some in town and on the east side over there.
Yep.
But then you've kind of built wherever you can find the land and the opportunity.
I have a passion to make things. Like I like to plant a vineyard and make it produce the best grapes in the world. I like to make wine and experiment all the time. How do I make this better? Every time I do something, I want to make it better. It's the same thing when I build a house. I want to do something special.
Okay.
And when I do something, I want to make sure I do something to make the town better. I want to give something. It's not just about making a dollar.
Right.
We all have to have money to live, right? But I have a need to make people feel good and to want to do nice things for the town.
Okay.
And because of that, it's made me successful because I'm able to get things done that maybe some people wouldn't do.
And you have a passion for it.
And I have a passion for it. But I've never quit the farming, and I kept all these businesses. I have 5 different companies running now.
And evidently you don't sleep. Yeah, geez.
That's one of my problems. I don't sleep that much.
Oh, Steve, that's not good. Well, tell me about the businesses that visitors can interact with, include your wineries and a hotel. So tell me a bit about, we've mentioned the Ledson Winery, which is up in Kenwood in a Gothic style, beautiful building. And that one's open almost every day. And it's
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
I think 2 holidays.
It's one of the first wineries you see when you're coming in from Santa Rosa off 101, that direction. But in the town of Sonoma, you also have a business. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I have a hotel on the square, 480 First Street East. I used to have a restaurant in there, and I loved it. The food was good, but I couldn't make any money.
Restaurants are so hard.
Well, the thing is, in the restaurant business, you got to be there every day. I can't run a viticulture business, a construction company, and a bunch of rentals and be down there washing my food.
You can't go bale hay, throw some drywall.
Can't do it all.
At the same time you run a restaurant. It's very hard. Yeah.
So, we couldn't make any money out of it. But what we did is we opened a lounge there, and Zena Hyde Cunningham was the brand that's in there. And that was my great-great-grandfather. He was born in... He born in 1832 and he died in 1901. But he came to Windsor, and they made 8,000 gallons of Zinfandel Alicante blend in 1862.
Okay.
So I wanted to keep that brand kind of going. And then it's also a lounge. You can go there and have a cheese tray or different fruits and stuff. You have beer.
It's
wine.
very different than the normal tasting room because it's inside the lobby of your hotel.
Exactly.
And your hotel has how many rooms? Is it
only 6?
6 rooms, small, overlooking the plaza right there. So it has the classic feeling of a small hotel lobby because that's essentially what it is. Right. But it's not like a tasting room where you sit there and swirl wine. It's like you sit there and you chill and you sit outside and you look at the sidewalk. People are going by. You're next to the Sebastiani Theater. You're across from the Visitor Center. So you're definitely a part of the community when you're in there. And I love it. Sometimes you have a fireplace in there. Was there a piano in there? I'm trying to remember.
We had a piano for a long time.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you play piano? Are you also a piano tuner?
I have my grandmother's piano. She's from the 1900s, baby grand.
Right.
My daughter plays it, but...
No, not your thing.
Well, I can do a couple little songs.
Oh, look at you.
But I'm not a piano.
No, drywaller, hay baler, rancher, construction guy, piano player. So you've got the wine... Zena Hyde Cunningham available there at the Ledson Hotel in that tasting room. And you mentioned Alicante. That's not a really well-known grape. A lot of people don't put it up there, but I know in Windsor there's a couple old Alicante vineyards up there. And that's the one that's super dark. It stains your mouth just dark.
Real dark. When you squeeze the grapes, it's a red, dark juice.
It's if you're wearing anything light colored, do not go. Don't go near the squeezing of that one. And so the hotel itself, 6 rooms. Are they all up above the second story up there? Above it? Okay. And there's some balconies that look out over things, if I recall.
Each one of the rooms has a balcony. There's 3 rooms on the front that overlooks the Sonoma Square.
Okay.
And 3 on the back that just look over the neighborhood. Yeah. So each time you come, each room is different. Okay. Each one is designed and named after somebody in my family. My father, my grandfather, grandmother. And there are different decorations inside. They all have a nice fireplace, a jacuzzi tub of the room. They're all king-size beds. Okay. They're beautiful inside, really detailed. But state of the art, everything's up to speed. All the internet, everything's up
current.
To speed. But it's an old building.
So it's an older building that you completely rehabbed, or was it
basically the building got torn down? That property belonged to the Sebastiani family.
Okay.
And I ended up buying it. From them, and all there was a wall up with some. And they took piece of the wall and we put it at Historic Society. Took the building down and then designed a building. I wanted to design something that looked like it'd been around a long time.
It looks like it. And I know you said the Sebastiani Theater complex is right next door.
Right.
So was it the same Samuele Sebastiani? Was that part of his 1930s? He invested pretty heavily in the town there.
Exactly.
Okay, so it has a nice. Maybe it's you like architecture. Maybe it's your eye, but it has a nice flow between the 2 buildings. So it's very human scaled and very welcoming. And someone told me it was a new building. I said, it is? I didn't even notice it. But it's a new old building.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Okay, so you've got all these different things. I also know, I got, when we were setting this up, I got information about something about the Moon Mountain District Wine Growers Association. They're doing like a master class in grand tasting for that area. Steve, can you tell me, what does the Moon Mountain District, what does that mean? What is that?
So it's a viticulture district. Throughout the world, there's different viticulture districts, and the Moon Mountain District is part of the Sonoma Valley District.
Okay.
But, there's Alexander Valley, Rush River Valley, Sonoma Valley. There's a ton of them.
Right.
What's interesting about this piece of property is it's almost like Bordeaux. It's got, when I look at the temperature swings and the total heat degrees in a day, and I compare all the very important things are growing, it's a lot like France.
Okay.
And so it produces some of the best grapes in the world, in my mind. I mean, I'd have to have a graph and show you, but if you look at how the temperature comes up throughout the year, and you'll have a graph that shows, say, Sonoma Valley, Moon Mountain District, Russian River Valley, and you look at all that, and then you analyze that, and you decide what clones, rootstocks, row direction, a whole bunch of different stuff in order to get grapes phenologically ripe and not a huge sugar content, with really balanced acids. The soil drains very well. It's really, really rocky. So when we get a lot of rains like this, we're not impacting the vine like you do on the valley floor, where you have heavy soils, because that water is in the valley is contained and held there. And the grapevine, you don't even water it. It just grows out of control.
Right.
But up there, that rain goes right through it. So like, we don't usually pick it in the fall until we've had a few rains. It doesn't affect the vine because the water, there's a little bit of breeze up there, so it blows the water right off.
Interesting.
And the water goes right through the soil.
Right, which is different than if you're in the valley floor or Russian River Valley and things, different spots. You don't want your grapes sitting in too much water when there are grapes on the vine. It's not that good. In the winter, it's dormant, so it's a different thing. But I've heard that you kind of want your grapevines to struggle a bit to produce the best grapes.
Yeah, you don't want the vines to have water on them necessarily, and you don't want the roots to be in water. That's called wet feet. And that's not good for the vine. You're going to get rot over time.
Yeah, so that's what.
It's the ideal growing conditions, some of the best in the world in my mind. The whole Moon Mountain District, I think our ranch is exceptional, but the whole Moon Mountain District is just a whole nother step above other viticles.
It's where some of the really high-end Cabernets come from in the Sonoma Valley and in the North Bay, actually, is Moon Mountain. I know Gallo's got a big property up there, or hallowed property. Everyone that can get a really good vineyard up there produces really good wines, because let me just say, you probably have to work pretty hard to get a bad wine out of that area, and we don't want to do that.
No.
So what I see is you guys have an event coming up on Sunday, May 4th in Sonoma. So it won't be up on the hill because it is a pretty windy road to get up there on Moon Mountain. But it looks like there's a grand tasting and a master class for people to learn more about the Moon Mountain District. And I'm assuming Ledson Wines will be a part of that. So that sounds like a good deal. I think I should just go to that. I should just not tell anybody else, and that way I get more wine.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I think it's a great event. It's all Moon Mountain District wines. All the different growers and wineries will have wines at this. And then also what's really cool is that a lot of the wineries are doing something else. So when somebody comes, they're not just going to one thing. Because when people come here, they want to do multiple things.
Exactly.
So like at our lounge, at the Xena Lounge on May 4th, we'll be pouring Mountain Terrace's wines all day there.
I see what you're saying.
2 days, the whole weekend.
Yeah, I see here a whole bunch of different wineries are pouring, including Be Wise, Far Mountain, Hansel, Hill of Terra, Cayman Estate, Kistler, Lassiter, Louis Martini, Mountain Terraces, Repris, 16600. So yeah, there's a lot of people up there. Stone Edge is going to be up there. And I love that you guys are doing things in each individual spot. I mean, not all of you, because some of those don't have tasting rooms, but that's really neat that you have these different experiences. Steve, do you buy your grapes or grow your grapes only in Moon Mountain, or do you have grapes from other places as well?
Well, we have grapes. Majority of our grapes are from the Moon Mountain District, but we have some from the Sonoma Valley as well, and Kenwood, and down here in Sonoma.
Got it.
And Alexander Valley.
Oh, okay.
And Russian River Valley.
Okay, so you kind of source from different places and stuff like that.
Those are the main areas. But you speak of all those different wineries that are up in the Moon Mountain District. What's really unique about it is that every one of these wineries is small. The vineyards are small.
Right.
They're more focused on quality.
Right.
And you could go to any of those tasting rooms and you're gonna be impressed. All the wines are good. My dad used to say to me, "Son, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear." And you can't make a good wine. You can goof it up, but you can't make a good wine without quality grapes. And that Moon Mountain District is phenomenal. I bought the ranch up there in 2012, and we've been working on it, making it better and better all the time. But
Good.
I do a lot of tasting at the other wineries, and it's a phenomenal viticulture area.
It really is.
It really is.
It's among the people who know wine or really are into wine. Moon Mountain is definitely up there, and well known. I saw you have Rapri up there. Rapri is one of the wineries you can visit by appointment, but you got to go up this road. Right. This is not an easy. This is up, like your cousin running the 50 minutes up to.
Yeah, exactly.
But once you're up there, you realize that the views are just stunningly phenomenal. You're up on this beautiful mountain. Actually, the other side of that mountain is Napa Valley. It is a volcanic mountain, so at any moment, you never know. And it's the way the roads are laid out, and the oak trees, and the way the little streams go through that place. I love it up there. It's beautiful. It
is a beautiful place. When you go up there, you're looking down on the rest of the world. You see all this. You see San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, all the different vineyards, and it's a really unique place in a lot of different ways. Yeah. It's a lot of people that have had this land for a while, and they have a real passion for the land. It's smaller vineyards. Everybody's different in the world. Every person's different, but. Right. You see so many different little personalities that bring so much uniqueness to it. It's just I can't even come up with the words to explain how cool that Moon Mountain district is. And it's not just growing grapes. It's the people. It's the scenery. It's everything.
It's beautiful.
Just you could come to the Sonoma Valley and you could spend your whole trip going to different tasting rooms in the Moon Mountain district. And I can assure you'd have the best time of your life because everybody's friendly. It's like a family of people. Yeah. It's amazing.
Okay, boy, you should promote it. And by the way, if people do want more information about that, I see the website's moonmountaindistrict.org is the website for that information. And I'm assuming it comes Moon Mountain because Valley of the Moon, maybe, and the Moon Mountain is up there. It's actually part of the Mayacamas or Mayacamas, depending on how old school you are and want to pronounce it, which are the mountains that run along the side of Sonoma Valley on the east. And they kind of curve around towards Santa Rosa.
Exactly.
It separated us from Napa to keep those Napa people out of here. Exactly. No, that's not true. Steve, when you're not running your 25 businesses and starting new ones, what are you doing for fun?
Yeah, I'm an outdoors person.
Okay.
I still like to hike. I do a lot of hiking in the Trinity Alps.
Oh, I love it up there.
Yeah.
And the Marble Mountains, Trinity Alps, that place is so gorgeous up there.
It is. And I'd love to fly fish.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'll catch and release stuff. So I'll either flying up to Alaska to fish, or I'm fishing in Trinity, or I have a ranch in Anderson Valley. It's about 6,000 acres, and I build a beautiful lake on it. It's got water running to it all year round.
Really?
I stock it with these big rainbows.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have a foundation for kids, so I love taking them up there. And my youngest daughter, she's only 12, but she just loves fishing. She brings her friends, and you throw that fly out, a dry fly out on top of the water, and the fish catches it and takes off across the lake, and it's just exciting. And
she's pretty good at you taught her the flying.
She's pretty good.
Good for her.
She's pretty good. Well, she started when she was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
So she's
12. She got nimble hands. That's the beauty of it. Is kids these days.
I'm getting to the point I have to have her tie my flies on.
Well, yeah, that's the. I went to the eye doctor for the first time this week, and he goes, actually, you've dodged a bullet for 10 years. Most people in here when they're younger. And I'm like, well, he goes, but you're totally normal. So yeah.
Yep.
You're starting to hold stuff like this.
Exactly.
Hey, down the street from the Ledson Hotel, Caddis Winery, a guy named Chris operates it. He loves fly fishing too. Mm-hmm. And caddis is a type of fly. He's been looking to do some sort of, I said, you should just do fly fishing demonstrations on the plaza. Find a way, obviously not with real hooks, but to get people involved, right? And kind of get them excited. So maybe that's your new, your new program out there. So you like being outdoors, fishing, hiking?
Love the outdoors. I mean, I was born on a ranch, and I love being around horses and cows and vineyards, walnuts, prunes. We even had a dairy when I was a kid for years.
You did?
It was called Meadowlark Farm Dairy, and we had it for years. We delivered all of Sonoma Valley. It was my dad, and it wasn't me.
Right.
But I used to take my fishing pole in the truck with me, and we'd go down Sonoma Creek off of Warm Springs Road, and we'd stop. We had a ice house there we could put the milk in, and I'd go down and catch my limit of fish in the creek, then come back, and we'd go around and deliver. We delivered to the veterans' home and a lot of the stores and stuff, and then my dad sold it to Clover.
Okay. So still a locally owned company here, and they still make Strauss and Clover both make milk from a lot of North Bay dairies, and I had Vivian and Michael Strauss on the podcast because they now, they're not involved with the dairy anymore, but they have the cheese trail. And they have this great map of all the different cheese makers where you can go taste it and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't drink as much milk as I used to, but I still love getting the whole milk from the Strauss in the glass bottle with the cream top. It is so good, especially with a good, cookies, obviously, whole milk, but also in coffee, that little bit of cream in it, it's so good.
Oh, it's really good.
It's delicious.
Really good.
Are there any other businesses you want to admit to owning or being a part of? Steve, that's amazing.
Well, we own a lot of rentals, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we 300 something rentals that we have. And so I have one of my middle-aged daughters, she runs all the property stuff,
okay,
all the leases. And that's fun. It keeps her active, keeps her going. And then we still have a development company. I'm building 22 units in Cloverdale for more rentals. They're lower price point rentals for people.
Right,
and
good.
I'm building a couple nice houses for some people. One guy's from Telluride, and the other guy's from Florida, I think.
Okay.
In Armstrong, designing them right now.
Okay.
So I have the building, then we have all the rentals, all the vineyards, which is a separate business to all the vineyards, and the winery side of it.
You don't sleep, do you?
It's, you know what? It's fun for me.
Yeah.
I really like to create and design things.
Okay.
And I love people.
You're always moving.
Yeah,
I love it.
At the winery, we really pride ourselves on making a wine for everybody's palate,
right,
and everybody's pocketbook. Because if you think back on your own life,
mm-hmm,
when you first took a sip of wine, you probably didn't think that much of it. But then you kind of get used to it, but your pocketbook doesn't allow you to spend that kind of money. So you make a wine that somebody can afford, that they're going to like, and as their palate and their pocketbook grow, they move up, move up, move up. Mm. Still have my very first wine club member, and I have lots of them. In fact, I ran a report the other day, and I said, how many people have been in our wine club for 15 years or more? Mm-hmm. And there was 1,500 people.
Really?
15 years or more.
Because, wine club churn, and that's a little inside baseball, but it's high for some people. Like you're always chasing the next member. So keeping that many shows that they like the wine, and they probably like the community that you've built on it. So that's well done. That's good.
Well, I learned a lot from my father. I miss him dearly. He used to tell me, son, it's not what you say that's going to matter, and it's not what you do. It's how you make them feel.
Okay. Good insight.
And that works for your next door neighbor. It works for your wife. Yeah. It works for your wine club members. It works for your people you're selling houses to or renting to. I've never met a person yet that doesn't like to feel good. So why would you do anything that doesn't make somebody feel good?
That's a very wise way to do it. That's a good one. Yeah. Steve, I'm not going to let you get out of here without doing our favorite thing. But before we do it, if people want more information about the winery, I believe the website is ledson.com.
That's correct.
Okay. And I think they can also get you to the hotel and the other tasting room as well. Is that correct?
Once you go to Ledson.com, you can go to everything. You can go to the hotel, to the winery, construction, rent, everything.
Oh, everything in there. Okay. Yeah. It's soon to be, who knows, fly fishing tours. LEDSON.com is the website, and lots of great stuff. And I forgot to mention, you guys have the best staircase in a winery. And for Christmas, it's decorated so beautifully. It looks like the Titanic in that movie, that beautiful grand staircase. So, and you have a photo of that here on the little pamphlet, but I think you did a great job.
There's probably thousands of pictures that people took on the stairs.
Oh, I know. Stairs.
Everybody that comes, if I take a picture on the stairs.
It's like there aren't so many staircases in the world that that are like amazing. But here in California, San Francisco City Hall has a great staircase. It's this big marble thing. It comes down. Yep. It's beautiful. This one, when I walk in, I'm like, no, that's a staircase, right? That's where photos are taken.
Exactly.
So I love that one. It's really neat. All right. Well, Steve, it's been great learning more about Ledson and everything that you do, which is remarkable. And I'm sure you've got more and more things. However, we've come to the time in the podcast where you're going to help me answer some questions.
Oh, that sounds good.
Here we go. Here's how it works.
I hope I can.
Oh, you can.
I'll try.
Let me explain how it works. You got 2 visitor centers. People call us, they text us, they email us, they message us on social media, and they ask us all sorts of stuff. And I have professional staff. I have volunteers, and they answer these questions. And right now, you are now becoming one of our volunteers because you're going to help me do We Get Questions. Let's go. First question we got. This is someone who's actually living in the area, but they're moving out. So they want some advice. They say, we're moving out of the area in 2 weeks. What are some of the not to miss spots for restaurants that we should hit before we move?
Oh, shoot, man. There's some nice restaurants here, you know, I got to tell you. Well, Salt and Stone in Kenwood is a great restaurant.
Yeah.
There's a new restaurant in Kenwood,
Stella.
Stella.
Yeah.
I just went there the other night. The food was phenomenal.
Yes.
The staff's phenomenal. The owner came around, shook my hand for coming.
great.
Really nice atmosphere, great food, nice wine list,
Good.
nice place. Salt and Stone, same.
Right.
Todd Lake that owns that now. He used to work for me. So
Oh, really?
great place to go. Really good place.
It's very popular, especially you'll see in the afternoons. A lot of people who live nearby will go there for the happy hour, which is like famous. It's great.
It's great. And then the other restaurant that's really good is the station, Gold Bear Station.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, that was a Gold Bear Club. It was a little bar, and I
That's where
loved
the name
going.
comes from. Oh, okay.
And then the Gold Bear Club was a restaurant up the road. But anyway, so that's a great one. But then, you know, even here in town, you know, we've got the Girl and the Fig.
Yep.
The food's really good.
Yep.
The staff everybody's friendly.
Yep.
EDK across the street.
Love it.
The Bistro.
Yeah.
You know, and then the hotels,
Yeah.
Layla Restaurant, Carneros,
Yeah.
they're all different. And, you know, if you're going to be here for a while, I recommend you just try each one of them.
Okay.
Just go and try those restaurants. If you're going to move from here, I don't know where you're going to find the lifestyle that's here.
That great spot, right? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you moving? But,
Exactly.
all right, those are all good recommendations. So I like that. And thanks for reminding me about Stella. I'm going to ask Ari, the owner. He's got to come back on the podcast and bring the food, right?
Sure.
'Cause I have to try it to make sure it's still good.
Yeah.
You never know.
Really good.
Another question we just got. Someone walked in and asked us this one. Is the Sonoma Art Walk continuing this summer?
You know, Tim, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know a lot of people like that. A lot of people come to Sonoma Valley to do that.
Yep.
And of course, then they shop in the stores, they go to the restaurants, they go to the wineries. So, you know, I think it's something we need here. I think it's nice. I hope it is.
And you're right, it is. They're going to continue doing it. It's the first Thursday of the month. And what they do is they pair up different tasting rooms and retail shops and restaurants with art. And you can walk around and there's wine and it's fun. Like, it's very Sonoma. It's very low key. It's very fun. And there's wine.
Yeah.
Right. It's good. So yeah, that's a good one. You're not a painter on the side, are you? Do you do like watercolors? Are you doing plein air art? Steve, don't.
You know, for me,
Oh no.
I like paintings of the hillsides.
Okay.
The mountains, or the animals, like
Right.
a picture of a rock on, say, on Hood Mountain and a deer standing there,
okay.
that type of stuff. But my cousin Bill Bertetta, he does that. He's a painter.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I have a lot of his paintings at the winery, and he's done some shows and stuff up there and
Really?
bought a lot of local people. So
Well, that's great.
I do really enjoy art.
You are. Okay. Well, we'll get him on the art walk.
Yep.
Another question we just got. I'm here in town for a few days and looking for someone to drive our car to take us wine tasting. Is this possible?
That's a good question. I know there's a lot of different people that, they have a small business where they drive their own car all the way up, say, California Wine Tours.
Right.
all that.
Big buses and the classics.
As far as a person to drive the car, I know there is,
You're right.
but you might know some names.
I do, and you're absolutely right. And you are. But if that wasn't a business yet, I have a feeling you would have created it before you walked out of the studio. Yeah, there's a company called Destination Drivers, and they will drive. It's a small business. They'll drive your car. Wow. And it was kind of nice because some people often will come here. They'll stay like at a vacation rental, right? They'll be here for like a week or two. And maybe they don't want to, because they have their car already, they don't want to hire another car. So this guy will drive your car. He's got insurance, the whole thing. Yeah. So it's really neat. Destination Drivers, they're really fun. I even love in the back of their card, they have the tasting notes. So when you're out there tasting, you can say, "Oh yeah, I had the Alicante Boucher from Zena Hyde Cunningham, and it was really good." So
I'd be very curious how much notice they need.
That's a great question. I don't know. You might here's your thing.
Well,
Available at the visitor center.
I'll take that with me. But I've had people come to the winery and I say, I think maybe you've had a little bit too much to drink, and I call them a cab.
Right.
But
that'd be smarter than
buy their own
got you.
car. That'd be perfect.
Okay. See,
I'll reach out to them.
Thank
you for that tip. Appreciate
There's
it.
your referral. Here's another one. I was driving through Kenwood and I saw what looked like large smoky campfires in the fields. What's going on with that?
So when we tear out a vineyard, the most inexpensive way to do it is to take all the steel, the vines, and you just crumble it up in a pile.
Okay.
You let that sit for a year. You cover it with tarps,
Okay.
so it doesn't get super wet. And then in the spring early, on burn days only,
Right.
you light that pile on fire, and it burns all the wood out of it.
Got it.
Then you take the steel and pick it up and take it to a place. They'll give you money for
To
it.
recycle it.
You recycle it.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a burn pile.
It's a burn pile.
Yeah, and it's funny because people who don't know what's going on, they're like, is this a weird campfire thing? And you're like, well, no, it's regeneration of the vineyard out there. They're tearing up the vines because some vines will last 30 years, some will last 50 years, some will last 15 years. It all depends what you're planting and how you're doing it. But we do get that question a lot. And we're like, well, no, it is not a campfire program. But if you want a job, I'm sure they're hiring. Here's a weird one, and it just happened today. I keep seeing mannequins around Sonoma Valley wearing amazing dresses made out of corks and champagne cages and all sorts of recycled items. What is this? Do you know what's going on?
I don't.
So, yes, this is kind of funny. You walk around and there's a beautiful dress, and it's beautiful, but it's made out of recycled items. And there's a thing called Trash and Fashion at the community center. These people make the most amazing dresses. It's to show, like, one, and when you live in a society where a lot of stuff was throwaway, like, you can't throw everything away, right? You talk about your dad and your grandparents.
Yeah.
Back then, stuff was reusable, right?
Oh, yeah. You didn't throw it anyway.
You throw it anyway. And there was a rag and bone guy and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're sort of like, we can reuse stuff. And Trash and Fashion does it at the community center. And we just got ours at the visitor center. We have a beautiful dress that's made out of corks. It's absolutely stunning. We were looking at it, and it's dyed with wine. Talking about the Alicante Boucher. The young woman who made it, and she was very young. She's like, they said she was like 18 or 19, and she's quite a seamstress. She dyed it with Sonoma Valley wine, and it's the coolest color. And I'm sitting there staring at it like, I wish I could do that. I can't. You're not a dressmaker too, are you, Steve? No. But, well, if you want to check that out, Trash and Fashion, it's at the Sonoma Community Center. It runs all throughout April. And it's also online, but it's an amazing fashion show. But you can also walk around in the valley. There's different places that will host past winners. And it's stunning. Yeah.
That's really cool. And, just thinking she's coloring it with different wines. Alicante is going to be one color, Cab's another.
Right.
It could really be an interesting thing.
It is really neat. And they just dropped it off this morning. I'm staring at it like I have no idea how to even begin to make this. I'm so glad somebody did it. Yeah. And the community center, which is just down the street from your hotel there, they have a lot of great programs for people who are interested in ceramics, cooking, fiber arts, they even like yoga classes and martial arts. And it's a really neat place. And it was an elementary school, I believe, at one time.
So. It was. Actually, one of my daughters, not my youngest, my second youngest went to
went to school there.
School there, yeah.
Okay, see, yeah. So it's you walk around, it has that school feel, yeah. But instead of going into third grade, you walk in and there's a whole bunch of sewing machines in one, another one's like a lot of leather working stuff, and it's like the best summer camp ever, right?
It's so cool that we keep buildings like that. They were built years ago, and they were built for a certain purpose, like a school.
Right.
But a lot of that's done here in the Sonoma County. Especially in this area down here. And I think it's so nice to preserve our history.
Yep.
And to try to carry it on and teach people. Like if you come to a winery, we have a lot of pictures and a lot of history because my family's been here for so long.
Right.
And we love sharing that with people. And I think a lot of the wineries here in Sonoma Valley are a lot of family owned that have a lot of history. And so you can get a real education.
Absolutely. And kind of the reuse of those buildings, right?
Exactly.
Well, Steve, it's been great. You answered all the questions correctly. You're hired. So when you're done with your 12 other jobs, Steve, and you want to come work at the visitor center, we're always looking for volunteers.
Well, don't put that past me.
Very good. Steve, one more time, what is the website if people have questions or want more information about all your different businesses and opportunities there?
Ledson.com.
That was easy. That's LEDSON.com. Great.
Exactly.
After you go to Ledson.com and become a wine club member, because once you do that, you'll be on for more than 15 years. After you do that, Go to sonomavalley.com for deals, special offers, and events, and come see what's happening in Sonoma Valley in the spring and the summer. Steve, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Tim, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been fun.
Thank you so much. All right, and hope everyone else have a wonderful week. Thanks. Bye-bye.